Well, it is Sunday, and you're probably looking at the screen and you're like, who is that person? I didn't even remember that I followed them on YouTube. And yeah, I'm back. I'm Karen from MsRazz ChemClass. That is my Teachers Pay Teacher store. It has been a very busy few weeks. It seems like things really took off as the holidays started, and so I've kind of been a little MIA because I've been so busy, obviously being the best teacher I can be in the classroom for my students, but also I've had some kind of other exciting developments, which I can't share right now, but I could potentially share in the future. So I thought I would make a video to talk about some of the things that I've been doing and why I have so much free time now that I can record this video. Well, my students are taking midterms now, and if you've done the midterm process, more than likely your students only have 1 or 2 midterms a day. And so when that happens, you're able to kind of spend more time obviously grading your midterm exams because you're not actually planning new and innovating lessons for your students. So I've been having a lot more, I guess, free time on my hands. Obviously, it's not so free because I've been obviously doing TPT and tutoring and all that good stuff, but I definitely have more time than I'm used to. And so I thought what I would do is talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do to set yourself and your students up for success for the rest of the school year. And so these are some things that I've been doing with my classes and in my classroom. So first, obviously, I think this is probably the most obvious one, cleaning and organizing anything and everything that you can get your hands on. So obviously at the end of the school year, to pack everything up in your classroom can be a really daunting task. And so I think spending a little bit more time now organizing everything, kind of finishing things that maybe you started but didn't get a chance to complete all the way. Maybe it's something simple, like you have a binder with answer keys all over the place. Maybe you just need to kind of organize them, or maybe you didn't get a chance to finish the answer key. Those are all things that you can do to make your life easier. So I tend to kind of clean my cart the way I did in the beginning of the school year when I did my video on how I kind of set up my cart. So I wipe everything down because there's lots of dust. So, I think every time you get an opportunity to kind of refresh everything, it feels really good for you and for your students. And I think they appreciate that really clean classroom environment. Another thing that I did is I changed seats. So I tend to group my students homogenously. And if you haven't watched my video on making one small change, I highly suggest that you do that. But grouping your students homogenously by ability is a great strategy to kind of instill like a comfort level with the students and make them feel a little bit better about who they're working with and more free to, I guess, share ideas. So I set up my seating charts for next semester. I tend to do it like once a marking period. I tend to switch it up because I think there is value in having your students work with different people, because that's obviously, what real life resembles. And so having your students kind of work out any issues and get to know people is a great way to make sure that you give kind of a kind of real world, I guess, feel to your classroom culture. Obviously, another thing that I've been doing is reflecting. So I've been looking at some lesson plans that maybe I've done. I've been looking at a survey. So I gave a survey out before, I would say, actually, it was before midterms, but it was after the holiday break. And so we're required to do that because it's part of our evaluation process. So I gave a survey out and I kind of looked at the things that, maybe were a little bit lower in terms of, how the students were ranking me. And so I thought, these are some things that I can improve upon. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting on how to kind of improve the experience for my students. So reflecting obviously is key, but also, and this one kind of ties into the last one, having yourself set a SMART goal. So SMART, S.M.A.R.T, all stands for something. And so allowing you to set yourself up for a SMART goal and then have your students set one, I think is a really great strategy. So maybe you have to plan a lesson where you teach your students about what a SMART goal is, or it might even better if you take a minute and you think about maybe a goal that you want to set for yourself, show the students how to complete a SMART goal, and then that will kind of give them a template for how they can kind of work on some things that they maybe want to perform better in your class. Whether it be like homework completion or, better grades on tests or coming for extra help. I mean, these are all things that the students can set SMART goals for. Another thing that you could do also to make your life and your students' life easier is to dig out that final exam from last year. So take a look at the final exam, look at all the questions that the students struggled with last year, and plan and jot down notes for areas that you definitely want to hit hard with your students, because when it comes time for the final exam window, my guess is you'll probably be really stressed and trying to get everything done and making sure everything's all good to go. If you can kind of just make sure that you hit all the things that the students struggle with and spend a little bit more time on those things, that will, of course, yield better scores on the final exam. So dig out that final exam, look at those questions, and that'll make your life so much easier. And it also allows you to kind of focus on, okay, these are the things that I really need to make sure that I cover with the students as well. If you're anything like me and my chemistry PLC, we actually started the unit but didn't get a chance to finish it before midterms. So I have to plan some sort of either like review lesson or like a review due now. And obviously by due now, I mean warm up or bell ringer or whatever you call it, but basically something just to kind of trigger their memory about the things that we've been talking about. So our unit is on chemical reactions. So I need to we did double replacement. We did some modeling with double replacement and precipitation, but now we kind of got to go back and talk about all the other different types of reactions. And so we'll spend a little bit more time talking about the different types, and then introduce the diatomic elements and things like that. And so, giving your students some sort of do now that reviews the basics, I think will also help so that they can be ready. Maybe if you don't want to do a formalized lesson or a do now, you could, of course, record a video and send that out before maybe the actual day that they come back to be with you. You haven't watched the video before, and then in class, you'll be ready to go. Another thing that you could do is potentially plan a growth mindset lesson for your students. I think it's important, again, to let your students know that their intelligence is not finite. They can definitely improve and do better, and I think a little bit of effort can make a huge difference in their successes in your classroom. And reminding your students of that and just kind of taking a minute to take a step back and say, you can do a lot more than you think you can. And so if you wanted to maybe set that SMART goal, but then also have them think about the, some aspects of the growth mindset, I think that would be a great way to kind of start the second half of the school year. Just kind of remind them that, hey, not everybody's perfect, but working at it can really help improve your understanding of chemistry, and, putting that effort in really will make a big difference in the grades that you see as the year progresses. This is especially important because if you're like me and your curriculum is similar to mine, a lot more of the harder concepts are covered. So, for example, you've got stoichiometry and you've got thermo, we have redox. These things can be a little bit tricky for students. So setting that growth mindset early about, hey, like some of these things are going to take practice, I think is a great way to begin the second half of the school year. And then a final thing that I have been doing is I definitely want my students to review their midterm exam results the day that they come back. So I grade one exam per day because unfortunately I only have one exam per day. It just works out that way. So I wanted to set up some sort of independent lesson where the students can kind of work at their own pace. And so I thought it would be great to have the students do some sort of SMART goal and some sort of growth mindset lesson. I was thinking about doing it on Nearpod, but I had to think a little bit more about it. But having some sort of independent work for your students to work on while you review those midterm exam results, I think is a great way just to make sure that the students can fix their mistakes and again reflect on their learning from the first half of the year. Because as you know, if you're a chemistry teacher, a lot of the concepts that you learned at the beginning of the school year definitely come back in the second half. That's really it for the things that I've been able to do as we kind of finish our midterm exams. It's been, like I said, a really great help as we think about the things that we want to accomplish for the second half of the school year. But the bottom line is you just want to enjoy your students. You don't want to be stressed out at the second half of the school year. And by doing some of these odds and ends, it will really help make sure that you can enjoy your students for the rest of the year and just really focus on them. Because I think when we're stressed as teachers, we're not able to focus on our students as easily. We kind of really have to exert a lot more energy to say, like, okay, I'm not going to get stressed about that SGO, or I'm not going to get stressed about that parent meeting. Spending the time organizing yourself gives you one less thing that you have to worry about. So with that said, I hope to be vlogging a little bit more this week, but either way, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks so much for watching to the end of this video. I hope you found the information helpful as you teach science to your students. I really don't want to lose touch, so please make sure that you hit both like and subscribe so you get notifications every time I post a new video, and I'll catch you later.